Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Matters Thursdays. I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando, and we have an amazing conversation today. We are continuing the series about magic. We've talked about the magic of your relationships, the magic of your habits, the magic of your speaking, your thinking. And now today we're going to talk about the magic of your feelings. And so I want to have you think on a quote that I have for today. And that is about the trinity of creation. If thoughts are the masculine aspect of creation and feelings or emotions are the feminine aspect of creation, then how has your inner woman been acting? Welcome to Spiritual Matters Thursday at the Daily Huddle. Good morning once again, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Huddle, Spiritual Matters Thursdays. I'm your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando. I want to get us into a contemplative mindset or state of being here, because we're going to be talking about feelings. Feelings. I don't know if you remember that song, but my spiritual musical Tourette's just popped up. So I want to get us centered so that we can have a conversation about that. Yeah. So let me start with you, Chase. How are you, and what are you thankful for? The camera's about to go off.
Grand day to you. Oh, it went off, boom, just like that. Did you say, how are you?
I did.
Sorry. I'm light today, lighthearted today.
Mm-hmm.
And today
and
I'm great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, today I'm thankful for my parents. My parents on my mind today.
Oh, that's very sweet. That's awesome.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you for being here. Cece, where are you? And who are you hugging today?
I am right here, right now, and I'm going to hug somebody at church today. Thank you.
Hey, I like it. All right. Well, welcome to Daily Huddle Church. We can hug each other here virtually. Awesome. Okay, so listen. How do you feel? How does it strike you? How does it resonate for you to consider that your thoughts are your internal masculine aspect of creation, and that your feelings or emotions are the feminine aspect of creation? Let me give you some questions so that you can really flesh this out for yourself, okay? When you show up, when some feelings pop up, when you generate a certain feeling, when somebody says or does something and it has you feeling a particular type of way, what do you do with that feeling? Do you rationalize it away, justify it away, minimize it, infantilize it, ignore it, neglect it, excuse it, put it away somewhere because you don't want to feel that feeling? Or do you go the other way and you amplify that feeling, and then people accuse you of overreacting or of being irrational, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, I can't help it. If I feel what I feel, I feel what I feel. And that's just what it is. Which part of the spectrum do you go to? When you have a certain unction or a certain intuition about something, when you get a gut feeling about something, do you listen to that? Or do you look for contrary evidence and say, I was tripping, that was nothing, et cetera, thereby minimizing or dismissing that gut feeling. When someone triggers you and you have an emotional reaction, do you blame that person for your emotional reaction? Like if they hadn't said that, if they hadn't done that, it's their fault that I'm this way. Or do you get curious about your triggers and say, what's going on with you, Monikah, that triggered you in this way, et cetera, and you become curious about your own internal or emotional movement. The reason I ask these questions is because although we claim to be a society and a culture and a civilization that celebrates intellectual pursuits and logical fortitude and so forth, we have become undone mostly by a lack of mastery around our feelings. So it stands to reason, I say that very deliberately, that we would explore our relationship to our feelings so that we do not run the risk of running amok just because we don't have self-mastery. So I'm going to open up the floor sooner than I usually do, just because this is going to be a juicy conversation, darling. And I want to see what are the questions that I asked at the beginning. Where are you with that? What do you notice about your own relationship to your feelings? Do you stuff them away? Do you suppress them? Do you feel them just a little bit, just to say that you're spiritually mature, but don't let them get out of hand? You know what I mean? How do you manage that? How do you navigate that? Anybody? Gorgeous. Yes, Chase.
I have a newfound relationship with triggers and things that have really brought an emotional onslaught through my brain.
Mm-hmm.
In the last year and a half. I mention every now and then that I had a very tumultuous breakup about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And it ripped the guts out of me, like literally, like something I've never experienced in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it did that, in my humble opinion, is because there was not one, but a few. It was like a group of feelings and concentrations that came out at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it challenged my integrity. It challenged my heart space. It challenged it just everything. It was like incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, and still to this day, I find my biggest tool in that area is allowing. Just allowing. Like not trying to be masculine and all that doesn't bother me. And, forget her and forget everything connected to her and all, like just allowing. And within the space of allowing, multiple tears, multiple breakdowns, like just, the way it would be like if you went to a little dog park and you just swung the gate open and all the dogs just came running out. That's what it felt like,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is good though. This is good because not allowing would have created a whole other mound of problems, in my personal opinion, like not feeling that which is there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has been a superpower for me. And the people around me that have seen me like, bro, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
Like you said, like when it was happening, they were like, Chase, what is going on with you? And I tried so hard to hide it. And they were like, nah, not happening.
Yeah.
Something's going on with you. I was like, okay, here's the deal. So, I would let it out. But I would say, and it would be my advice to anyone who's going through some stuff, to just be around the people who celebrate you and know your potential and know your heart and know the way that you are, to be there with you. Because let's say 4 or 5 people that I connected with during that time, or that I'm still connected with, they were like, you're good, bro. You're good. You got to just move forward. You're good. Do what you need to do. So allowing, that's my word. Just allow the messy to come out so that you can cleanse.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, Chase. That's amazing. And such an important reminder that can you really be connected to or friends with someone if you haven't shown them and they haven't accepted or had the chance to accept your full self? And I don't mean like your full self. You're supposed to love even the crap, even the, violence, even the, I don't mean like that. I just mean the things that we ourselves haven't accepted about ourselves or integrated about ourselves or having a hard time with, et cetera, to be a safe space for someone to navigate all that or manage all that and just sit with it. I think, and you've probably heard me say this before, if you've been in these parts any time lately, I think one of the biggest gifts that a human being can give another is to witness them in their fullness. So thank you for presencing that. Cece, you have something?
Thank you.
Yes, excellent. We're talking about feelings.
Feeling.
Well, whenever these feelings show up now, I'm assessing myself as to what is it that's triggering, and is this normal? And to flush it out if it's not acknowledged, why am I feeling this way? And thank myself on the inside for God revealing that part about myself that I really didn't realize, because feelings are just feelings. Now, the experience behind it, feelings of the past, feelings that I experienced this at a previous time. So maybe it's my memory saying, oh, is this unhealthy? Or is this a trigger for a past memory? Or is a normal experience? And if it's triggered by somebody else, to shift the blame on, but to take responsibility for how I'm reacting in the situation. I'm trying to turn it off. But anyway, I thank God, I thank y'all for this topic, because it's making me reassess myself and how I react to everyday life situations or extreme situations. Because of course, taking it to the extreme is just really a waste of time. So I just want to shorten these quote unquote feelings and be present to the situations today and react in a healthy way to every situation that shows up, and not to be alarmed, because there's nothing new under the sun. It's just feelings. So I pass, and thank you.
Thank you so much. There's something in between what Chase shared and what you shared, Cece. There's something that struck me, and that is that one of the, I think, most difficult feelings that we as a society have trouble with is joy, actually. How many times have you seen, things are going well, this is popping, that's popping, this is going well, this is going well, this is about to pop off, da, da, da. And in the back of your mind, you're like, what shoe's about to drop? What's about to go wrong? Because this is too good. This is too good to be true. And we have a hard time sitting in and enjoying our joy. It's also another way that this has happened is, you tell me if you can relate to this, or if this is just a Monikah confession, that when you feel a certain level of happy about something, a certain level of joy about something, that you temper it. Like you don't want to seem too excited because you don't want to jinx it. Or you don't want to seem too excited because like, this shouldn't matter so much to me as much as it does to you. Like I'm genuinely happy. For example, yesterday a client called me that I've been coaching for some time. And she called me with absolute joy because she closed a sale that she was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to close it. That's more money than I've ever asked for that. And she closed it and they paid in full. And it was amazing. And we did some mindset work around that. And she said, I didn't want to call you with my happiness until I had the money in hand. It's like, you're not allowed to be joyful before you get paid, right? You don't have to earn your joy. You can be joyful before you get paid. And I just thought, wow, we do this to ourselves all the time, that we can put measurements and conditions and timelines around how much joy you're allowed because of what reason, as though you need a reason. And so on the other side, right, we have sadness and anger and all these other feelings, but then we have the the other aspect, the other side of the spectrum, joy and peace and love. I had a fallen out. We're now fine, and we've talked about it, processed it, made up, hugged it out, et cetera, et cetera. But several months ago, I had a fallen out with a friend of mine. And some of you know that I have a framework called the Grace Talk framework. And in that framework, the first step, the G in Grace, because it's an acronym, stands for airing out the grievance. And there's a way to air out grievances that don't feel like low blows, that don't feel like tit for tat, that don't feel like, sometimes somebody says something and you're like, dang, you went low on that one. That felt like an insult and not just like a vent. So I wanted to use the Grace Talk framework for our process, because I know she had a lot of grievances, I had a lot of grievances, but I wanted to be kind of like hygienic about it. And she's like, well, you don't have to do it your way. And I was like, this isn't my way necessarily, because as some of you know, this is based on research. This is based on a lot of pulling from different wisdom pieces. But what I heard underneath it was, if I say yes to doing something that you suggested, I'm giving away some of my power. I want to be positioned about something, right? And so I let her have it. But she said some things that were really, really hurtful. I was hurt. The feeling there was like, dang, man, you really feel that way about me? And I had a hard time grappling with some of that stuff. And then another friend of mine who didn't know her name necessarily, but knew of my conflict about it, asked me, when people are less than themselves, when they're less than ideal, when they're in their shit, excuse my French, can you still hold space for them? Or do they have to be clean and hygienic and all prepped up in order for you to be able to hold space? Do they have to be polite in order for you to hold space? Do they have to be nice in order for you to hold space? Or can she be in her anger? Can she be in her pettiness? Can she be in her shadow and you still be her friend? And I was like, oh, I'm up for that, but dang it, I'm bracing myself because I feel like I've just been punched in the gut. And the punch in the gut was nothing that she said or did. It was my attachment to it looking a particular way, come to find out. And so I bring that up because I want to discuss it with you. Do we have conditions? Do we have conditions on the ways in which we express our feelings? And some conditions are healthy, I think, like no matter how angry I am, I'm not shooting up anything or anyone. It's just never gonna go there, ever. And no matter how in the bowels of despair I feel about myself or the world or whatever, never gonna off myself. If anybody ever tells you that Monikah killed herself, nope, that was a frame job. Somebody did her dirty. Check the medical examiner's records again, because that nope, not gonna happen. So do you have conditions on how you express or how other people have the room to express their feelings, emotional body with you? Because sometimes we do that for self-preservation, and sometimes we do it just because we're resistant and we don't want to hear it. Cece, you got something? I'm going to take myself off of camera for a little bit.
Of course, I have.
Tell me, I want to hear.
Healthy boundaries includes having a preface, like depending on the relationship. I don't want somebody just dumping their stuff onto me without asking me, look, I'm having a moment. Do you mind if I do this? And depending on the relationship, I might say yes or no. Or that's where you get licensed professionals in, and to have them deal with that situation so that person can work those emotions out. Just randomly have somebody dump on me, I just say, hey, I have something else to do, or No, thank you. I have an opportunity now not to be a trash can because the person has a feeling that they just got to get out at me or at somebody else that they have not been able to process and have the conversation with. Okay. And I can discern whether or not the person is just letting it out, but I'm protecting myself now. That's called healthy boundaries. I know how to say no. And them being themselves, they can be themselves. They don't have to change nothing. But what I'm not going to do is sit around and let somebody use me as a trash can. It's the difference between just letting it out. They at it because they have a lot of unresolvement. So
Sure. Yeah.
there's a difference. And so each situation is different. I'm not closed off to listening to somebody because listening does difference and allows the person to get free within themselves.
Sure.
However, I don't want no constant complaint that they haven't actually addressed. Complaint
Yeah.
with somebody else that they are now using me as the face of their issue. So with that, I pass it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point because part of the Grace Talk framework in airing out the grievance is that one of the first steps, there's 3 primary introductory steps. The first one is to ask for permission because you do have to be in a space of availability, if not receptivity, to whatever the grievance might be. That's the first one. The second one is to state your intention. Because sometimes you may want to air out a grievance because you just want to run it. You don't want a solution. You don't want to fix anything. You just want to be heard. You just want to run it. You're not even prepared to get off of it yet. I'm going to continue to be mad after I say this, right? Or triggered or sad or whatever. But I just need to kind of like get this out so that it doesn't become too much for me to bear and I want a witness, right? So there's that intention, the permission, then intention. And then the third step of it is to state your position, meaning I know that this is my ego speaking. Everybody's doing the best that they can. And I'm at a level, whatever it is, 5, 10, I'm about to kill somebody, whatever, right? But at least when you state your position, you can hear yourself saying, this is not the truth of who I am. And it is not the truth of who they are, whoever triggered you, whoever angered you, whoever disappointed you, whatever the case may be. That this is just your ego speaking, because when you can position yourself in that way, then you can have your feelings instead of your feelings having you. Then you can have your experience without the experience defining you, right? So permission, intention, and then position is super, super important. Okay. Anybody else have something to say about your feelings and where you are with them? I think I'm going to change that name. Purpose, maybe. So we can have 3 Ps: permission, purpose, and position. You look like you're about to say something, Stan. Oh, Chase asked me, can you state the actual letters in Grace Talk? Yes. Grace is an acronym. The G stands for grievance, airing out the grievance. And you know what? Maybe we could do a future Thursday spiritual huddle with that. All right, so G is grievance, airing out the grievance. The R is digging up the root. Because a lot of times somebody triggered you, but that's not the first time that it happened. The first time that it happened is usually somewhere back there in your 0 to 7. Then the A is accountability. How did I create this? And sometimes that's the most difficult thing to admit to, is how I created this from an author perspective. The C is to come to an agreement, meaning are we going to move forward in a relationship with a new sense of commitment or a new sense of clarity or whatever the case may be, come to an agreement, and then execute. E is execute on that agreement. And this is very helpful, particularly with people who do work together, like in a business or in a corporate setting, because as human beings, it is very easy and tempting to like just swim in the dung. Sometimes swimming in the dung can be very attractive. However, because we are committed to growth and elevation, and as a rising tide raises all boats, then when we come to an agreement and then execute on that agreement, we can see whether like, oh, I wasn't really mad about this, I was mad about that. Now we have another grace talk coming, but at least we are defining and clarifying, and as we grow and evolve, we also create more community and commitment in that relationship because we've created some movement. Win-win, everybody. And hit me up on the DMs if you want to find out when I'm doing a Grace Talk workshop. I do a masterclass when I teach those tenets, and it's very helpful in your primary relationships, and of course the ones that matter to you. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Commentary, questions, grievances, concerns? Are we complete? This is all you got when we talk about feelings? Something as juicy as feelings? Okay, I see you. All right. That must be that Cancer sun. Got you like, ooh, this is too much to handle, honey. That's fine. Stan, your mouth is moving, but I don't hear you.
Am I better now?
Okay, yes.
I'm better now. Yeah. Yeah. When we're talking about feelings, they're really, really a tough thing. And I'm telling you today, Doc, it's probably me. I want to kind of like, I don't know, I'm asking for too much. Some kind of solution about when we get into our feelings. What we should question them, right? We should ask ourselves a question, right? We should check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. I know, but is there some advice you can give? And when you recognize that you are in your feelings, what you should do? How do you course change?
So that you can manage all that. It's the grace talk. Now you don't have to do the whole thing. You don't have to do, root accountability, come to and execute an agreement. It could just be the grievance, because sometimes you just want to run it. Sometimes you just want to get it off your chest. Sometimes you just want to be witnessed and listened to. And it's like, there's nothing to do about this. Right. I just want to say it so that it doesn't turn into cancer because I'm swallowing so much, right? And so the part of the grievance, the airing out the grievance piece is first, ask for permission. Okay. Are you in a space where you can hear me out? I have something that has been bothering me about you, about mom, about the economy, about whatever. But it gives somebody enough information to say, yes, I'm a space for it, or no, I'm not a space for it, right? So you ask for permission. The second step to that is state the purpose. I just want to run it. I don't need a solution. I don't need a therapy session. I don't need you, and please don't take it personally. I just want to run it, or I want to say it so I can get off it. Say it and it'll be done. Maybe that's the purpose, right? And then the third piece is the position. State your position. I realize this is just my ego speaking, because your higher self doesn't have grievances. Right. So this is my ego speaking. I know everybody's doing the best that they know how, including myself, and I'm at a level, whatever, state the level. I'm 10, I'm like livid and I'm about to kill somebody, or, it's just a slight annoyance. I just noticed that there's something icky about it. I'm a 2 or whatever, right? And then once you set that up, let it rip. Okay. And the thing that people sometimes are very hesitant about is they don't want to say something that feels petty or low blowish, but the point of the grievance, of setting up a container to be able to say the grievance, is, imagine if this was a biological process. If you were nauseous and you asked your friend for help so that you can go to the bathroom and relieve yourself, and not you, Stan, because you don't have any hair, but if it was me, somebody would go like this on my hair so that I could like vomit and not soil myself, not soil them, right? But whatever you got, let it rip. Don't just hold on to one particular piece of vomit because, oh, I want to eat that cake again. No, you throw everything away. So in the same way, when you want to air out the grievance, grieve it all. Okay. Say whatever, use curse words, talk about somebody's mama, be petty as hell because you want to get it all out. And guess what? When you're done, we're going to flush it down the toilet. We're not going to weaponize it. We're not going to use it later to throw it back in your face. We're going to flush the toilet. That's the point of airing out the grievance. And then you feel better. And there's a way to soothe the ego. I don't have time to get into that, but there's a way to soothe the ego. So it's like, okay, All right, I'm ready to move on.
Well, I thank you so much for that. I get that, and I think that must have been some of that I missed in the beginning because I came in late. But I'm thinking that you got to be really, really careful with that too, because what you will essentially have done is that you would have relieved yourself. But if you're really giving your true feelings, then you are. That person's going to feel what you're feeling at the time that you're doing it, and it might be very difficult for them not to be loaded now that you've unleashed yourself.
Yeah,
Even
it
though they
might trigger a
told you before,
counter-vent. Absolutely. It might trigger a
yeah,
counter-vent.
because even though you've told them from the beginning that this is what I'm going to do, and you say so and so and so and so, I know with me, when I come out with my true expression, they're going to feel what I gave, and especially if it was about something they said, and I say, well, this made me feel this way, so and so and so. They're going to want to comment on that thing, and it could go somewhere. But I get the point.
That's why you got to come to my workshop so that you know how to not take personally and hold people's space. Because your experience of me is nothing I need to take on. Let me say that again. Your experience of me is not my responsibility to take on. You could just say, Monikah, you made me really angry about blah, 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 blah. And you said this and you said that, and this pissed me off, and I can't believe, and this was so unfair, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, thank you, Stan. How can I support you? And not from a condescending place, right? Because sometimes we can say some stuff that sounds real spiritual and there's an FU underneath, right? Not from there. I'm talking like really help you with your trigger. Because me being triggered of, oh my God, I feel guilty or defensive about what Stan said, that's my trigger. That's something for me to handle. But it's got nothing to do with your feelings about anything, right? So we don't have enough time to go through all this. I'll probably do a series on the Grace Talk, but thank you for bringing that up, Stan, because you asked me to expound on something that I think is really useful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right, everybody, thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. Remember to love generously, laugh loudly, give of yourself, your time, your energy, your attention, move your tail feather, shake it, do some twerking, do some exercising, take yourself out for a walk, do something, move it. Sleep at least 7 to 8 hours a day, stress less, eat more plant-based food, and of course, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Audit your assumptions. Laura asked, how do we learn more about the Grace Talk Framework workshop? Send me a DM, send me a private message, and I'll let you know. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, family.
Thank you. Good job.
Bye.